Hello everyone, welcome back to Golden Talkies. Isn't it a lovely day today? I'm Jamie.
It is actually.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Where you are might be shit. I'm joined by my co-host Duncan. It's very important to note that he is subordinate to me. I am really the head honcho here. I do literally everything, especially the editing. On this podcast, we talk about films that came out 50 years ago this week, exactly. So that would be the last week in January 1971, for anyone who's cool with maths. This week we are talking about The Statue, starring David Niven.
Charlie. He looks like
a statue.
We'll come on to that
later. Something at you.
It's interesting that you say that I'm subordinate, Jamie, because I was, as we discussed last week, I think after recording, I was looking back over the episodes, and episode 1 started with me saying hello. Episode 2 we said hello over each other, and then every single episode since then you've been introducing it. Yeah,
I just slowly take over.
Pretty interesting how I do all
parasite.
The editing and the releasing and stuff, but you seem to think that you're in charge. It's just quite funny.
It's just a joke. It's not.
It's just a joke. I'm in
charge. Right. Shall we talk about what was going on in 1971? Shall I start because I have it here?
I have the day. I think it's nice if I do the day and then you do the
cool.
wider stuff. So
off you go then.
27th of January 1971. This was released in the US. It then came out in the UK in April. But we, on this podcast, we go by random release dates that happen to suit us. So we'll go for that US premiere. So 27th January 1971. Can you guess who was born, Jamie?
No, I can't. Who
they
was
are
it?
A rapper.
Oh, 50-year-old rapper. I don't know.
They perhaps you would want to turn them down. For
whoever
what?
Did turn down for what? I don't know who did that.
It's Little John.
Nice.
Little John.
Little John.
What else did Little John do? He did a song with LMFAO as well, I think, right?
I'm really impressed that you think I would know that.
Well, you were the same age as me in 2012 when LMFAO were big. I don't think that's unreasonable to say.
Didn't LMFAO do Party Rockers?
Yeah, exactly, those guys. I think they did a song with Little John.
Or Party
anyway,
Rock
Turn Down for What I think is the main one that I know. I need to look up now if he did. Oh, Shots, cool. Shots. You know Shots? Shots,
no.
Shots, shots. Everybody. You know that one? No?
No, but,
There's a street in Aberdeen called Little John Street, and every time I go down it, I think of Little John.
Do you take shots every time?
No, I don't. Although that would be good if you're on a pub crawl. That'd be a good rule. If you kind of manage to get down that street a few times. Anyway, Little John was born. I realised I did this in the wrong order because the next thing is Holocaust Memorial Day, which is obviously not quite as
not as fun.
Make so many jokes about, or any jokes about really. But obviously that is the 27th of January. Cool. Can you guess which song was number 5, Jamie, in the US?
Number 5 in the US?
Yeah.
Was it the theme song to David Niven's The Statue?
I wish. It was
as catchy as it is.
It was Rose Garden. Do you know that song?
I don't, sorry.
It goes, I beg your pardon.
Do they rhyme that with garden?
I promise you a rose garden. You know that one? No?
It sounds awful, but that may just be in the rendition.
Oh no, I can't sing, remember.
Yeah.
It's quite a good song, I quite like it.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, so that's my things I haven't done today, as far as I know. Have you got a wider week long?
Okay, this week, everything that was interesting happened on Monday. Number 1, Charles Manson and his 3 women followers were convicted of the Tate LaBianca murders. So, sort of following up on last week when I think they happened. Or the trial started, sorry. So, that's also fun. There was a coup d'etat in Uganda under Idi Amin. who became a dictator. The first Eisenhower dollar was created.
What is that? A dollar with Eisenhower on it?
Eisenhower on it, I assume.
Probably. That would make sense.
I was kind of hoping you'd know, and then I wouldn't have to look it up. But it's a dollar coin. Okay, it's a dollar coin. That makes sense.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to a note. And then also,
on it,
I would assume so if he's a selfish prick like that. Also, Eisenhower wasn't president at this time, so that would make sense.
Oh, it was the first coin of that denomination issued, I guess.
Yeah.
And it
Very
did have
cool.
Eisenhower on it, so there you go.
And then the Ulster Unionist Council called for the resignation of James Chichester Clark, who was the Northern Irish Prime Minister at the time. So,
Cool.
It's all fun. Yep.
Great.
Other than that, not a lot really happened this week. Mostly pretty normal stuff. Just sports people and musicians were born, which happens all the time. It isn't really that interesting. Some more people died in Belfast.
Wait, are you saying that Little
pretty...
John not interesting?
No. Just no. I'm not even sure he's mentioned on the site I'm using. Hold up, let me check.
Should be.
Famous birthdays. Did you say it was the 27th was his birthday?
Yeah, the day this was released.
Yeah, they only mention NHL defenseman and a soccer player.
Who's the NFL defenseman?
Patrice Brise, NHL. Patrice
NHL
Brise. Oh, also, not given a big title, but the president of Guatemala was overthrown by the CIA and died. So that's cool.
Well,
good old CIA got a CIA.
They do.
Can't have
Talking
any...
about CIA, that's a good transition because they're in this film. I don't know if you're.
Oh
ready
yeah,
to
they
transition
are.
Yet. I don't know if you're ready to transition.
No,
yet,
I'm ready to transition. Nothing else really happened. I think a play ended quite early. That was about it.
This also is not really much of a transition because we're probably not going to mention CIA straight
for
away
a while.
because they're a pretty minor part. But it does transition us to The Statue, 1971, directed by Rod Amateau and starring David Niven, John Cleese, Robert Vaughn, and Verna Lisi.
Yes. Right.
You impressed by it? That was a little.
That was very nice. It sounded like you'd prepared. It was very good.
Yeah,
more than I ever have.
That's why I was late, Jamie, because I was writing all this stuff down.
Wow, I don't forgive you. Alright, so The Statue. David Niven plays Alex Bolt. He has come up with a universal language. It's called Unispeak, and it's like super easy to learn, and everyone can use it to talk to each other. It's clearly inspired by Esperanto.
Yeah. Which
when
was is this?
Esperanto was made in 1887, so this was quite a while after that. But
right.
Esperanto is, from what I understand, stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't really work. But I don't know.
Okay, so apparently in the 1950s, the UN granted support to Esperanto as an international language. So it's not super relevant. Although, I mean, it says that some people still speak it and stuff, so it's kind of a thing, but not really.
I don't think it's going to become the international auxiliary language, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. I'm gonna, there's not a lot of interesting stuff to talk about in this film, so I'll just talk about this now. I'm not sure I would support having everyone speak the same language. I think the language is very inherently tied to culture.
It is.
And I'm not 100% sure it's a goal to strive for, although maybe it's better than having everyone speak English all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I think if you're saying that there has, I mean, the way it's presented, I don't think is that you would force everyone to speak this all the time. It's more that it would be a good thing to learn. And I think from that point of view, probably it is.
Well, they they talk about how easy it is to learn. Like, it's a 10-week course. This fictional language, whereas I assume Esperanto takes as long to learn as any other language does.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the point they make is that it would make cultural integration, etc., a lot easier. Which I think there's probably a point there, because I know a lot of rhetoric for focuses on language barriers and stuff. So there's
true.
potentially benefits to it, I think. And I do think that, yeah, it's probably better than forcing everyone to learn English from a sort of colonialist point of view, I guess. But also, I don't think it's very realistic. Because, I mean, I think the thing with English is that enough people speak it as their first language that it makes sense to learn as a second language. Whereas I don't think you can really force everyone to learn a second language, particularly.
I guess like if everyone's learning the same second language, I don't know. I see the place for it, but I think
definitely.
Yeah, I don't know.
I see the place for it. I'm just not sure it's realistic.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Anyway, that's the most interesting idea the film has, and it's stolen from reality. So I hope you all got a kick out of that.
Nice.
Anyway, he's celebrated for this. He wins the Nobel Peace Prize, which they hand out to just anybody, as we all know. So I need to stop saying M in this podcast. I was listening back to other episodes. I hate how often I say it.
Oh, so is it you that's giving us all the views?
What, with my M's?
No, with listening back to it to critique.
No, I don't listen back to the same episode again and again and again.
Okay, fair enough. Do you listen to episodes?
Not full episodes. I listen to a few minutes of them.
Just like most of our viewers then.
Exactly. To see what they sound like. God damn it! I keep doing it. Shit. Silence. Silence is better.
If you try and force yourself to stop doing it, I think you're gonna just do it more.
Well, the thing is, if I try to stop myself from doing it, we're just gonna end up with a lot of dead air. Because you're supposed to pause instead of making an interstitial noise, aren't you?
That's true. I think they say for job interviews, you should actually say, "Let me think about that."
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, not sit for like 2 minutes thinking, but be like, "Can I just have a few seconds to think about that?" And then just sit in silence and say it, and it looks a lot better than being like, excuse me, you know. So I think there's a point there. Right. But I think for a podcast, you can say M, like I just.
Well, screw it. For this time, I'm not going to. From this time onwards, I'm not going to say M this entire episode. I reserve the right to say or
Okay.
So, Alex Bolt has been given the Nobel Peace Prize. He returns home in triumph. His wife has been commissioned by the US government, who won the ambassador. The US ambassador to England has been a very big patron of Alex's.
When Jamie says
that wasn't an M, that was an I
don't know why.
Jamie means England.
But he's not. Okay.
But he sees it as a means of political expediency.
Wait, did you take a long pause there, or did my Discord just cut out?
I did take a very long pause.
Okay.
Sorry.
Great.
So, Alex's wife...
That's not good.
Shut up. Alex's wife has been commissioned by the US government to make a statue of Alex. But because Alex isn't around very often and hasn't been gratifying her sexually to the necessary extent, she gives the statue a big old dong, and that's where the hilarity that will fuel the next 86 minutes comes from. So buckle in, buckaroos, because this is going to be a laugh riot. I would recommend this film to people who find penises really funny, and particularly people who are embarrassed by penises funny.
Do you know,
I think it's a film for you.
I read a review. We might get into the reviews later, but I read a review that said this is the perfect film for people that find like penis jokes funny, but unfortunately its R rating means that there's no way the 12-year-olds it is designed for would be able to see it, which I think is a fairly accurate.
That's very fair.
Description.
Yeah. One of the weirder things. Okay, well, basically, Niven is obsessed by whose penis this could be because it's not his.
Yeah.
So he needs to find the man whose penis matches the one on the statue, his mythical Charlie, who he looks like a statue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since you started singing it, we'll talk about the theme song now.
Yes.
How does
it's
it rate,
awful.
How does it rate alongside your other favorite theme songs from this podcast?
Genuinely, I would say my favorite theme song from this podcast was "Crooked Man." Right, that was like a genuinely fun song. I like Sledge because it's cheesy and a little awkward. Charlie feels a lot like a first draft of a song.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really basic melody. It's like something you just sort of hum to yourself, you know what I mean? And the lyrics are both... They both don't really fit the film. They have a lot of awkward rhymes and lines that don't really mean anything. So that's just... Yeah, it's not a good theme song, but the thing is that because it's so repetitive, and the film does use it quite a lot, it does actually get caught in your head a bit.
Do you know, Jamie, I was about to disagree with you and say I like the theme song. Purely because it's so catchy and so cheesy.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm going to
try
and
is,
find the
songs that
lyrics.
repeat themselves again and again and again and again are quite catchy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're good.
No.
Yeah.
True. But for the film, it's something... Oh, it was sung by the Statuettes.
I'm assuming that was a one-time thing for the film. Otherwise, that would be a bit sad. Oh, not sad, just a bit. Anyway, I'll continue recounting the plot, I suppose, because it's not that basic. So, Alex, goes around looking for excuses to look at men's penises, which gets him in all sorts of humorous situations where people think he's a pervert. And they go, ooh, and Alex goes, oh no, I'm so embarrassed. And ew, it's a lot of fun. He photographs himself with his pants down in a photo booth, and they're all like, oh, is that man a bit of a flasher? And he goes, oh no, I'm not a flasher. And then he goes to a showing of a play where the actor's going to get his pants off, and he has a camera there, and they're like, oh, is he wanting to get pictures of the ladies' bits? And he's like, no, I'm not, I'm just a nice feller. But eventually this gets attention from the CIA, who don't want him discrediting the project through his rank exhibitionism.
The American ambassador has presidential ambitions.
That's true, and he talks to the president an awful lot.
Reflect poorly on him, which is why. Yeah. The one thing I did like talking about that is I liked when he had the picture of the president behind him, and he was talking about his presidential ambitions. I thought that was quite nice framing in a film. Yeah? In a film that's pretty shit overall. Not to spoil our final reviews. Yeah. I did quite like that use of.
One joke that I think has aged quite well, although unintentionally, is that he deeply admires Richard Nixon and talks about how great he is. And obviously we are 6 months away from Watergate at this point. So true. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
So that sort of creates a sense of irony, which would be too clever for this film otherwise. And even then it's not that advanced or anything. But yeah, the CIA get involved, so we get more scenes of of him now with the CIA's backing, looking at people's genitals. Yeah. It's all a lot of fun. Then eventually he goes...
because the CIA are trying to see if he's a pervert, and then when the ambassador sees the statue, he realizes that the statue is going to reflect poorly on on him, which is why then the CIA... Basically, Niven goes from having just himself being a pervert to the entire backing of the US, CIA, military, etc., etc.
Yes, exactly. Because
the whole US resources are put into finding this guy's penis.
The only way they can stop the statue being unveiled is if they're able to file a lawsuit, and they can't do that unless they know who the real model is.
Yeah.
So he goes to Florence because he's got a big list of all the men whose wife had seen while he was away, and the last one's there. And then he finds out that it's actually the penis was from Michelangelo's David all along. What a merry misunderstanding.
Exactly. At what point, Jimmy, did you work out that was going to be the ending?
I immediately assumed that it would probably not be a real person. Because, there needs to be something. It was not really a good end to a comic. As soon as, Florence came up, I was like, oh, it's probably that.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, they talk a fair bit in the beginning of the film about how big the penis is, right?
Yeah, but
one of the most famous features of Michelangelo's David is that the genitals are super small.
Yes.
So it's a bit strange
bizarre because how small then is
David Niven's
penis? You know?
Yeah.
What you think? Yeah, because it's really small. I mean,
yeah, it's
cherubic. That's a man that's been swimming in the sea, and
exactly. and
You know.
just about to come up and whack a giant or two.
Exactly. So
Anyway,
Anyway.
the understanding is resolved. He and his wife patch up the differences. She makes a statue of the U.S. ambassador instead, and everyone has a good old laugh.
yeah.
And that's the film. So,
So
probably the easiest plot summary I've ever done, because very
Yeah.
little happens.
it's true.
But so I'll just talk about some stuff I found interesting, and we can see where we stand. So John Cleese is in this film, which is probably the most interesting thing about it.
Yeah.
He
What
plays-
did you think of John Cleese in this film compared to the Out-of-Towners?
Compared to the 1990s
Oh,
remake
sorry, that
of
was the 19.
Out-of-Towners.
But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, still compared to Out-of-Towners, I guess. I forgot.
Well,
that was
it's
the
quite
remake.
interesting because it feels. I was going to say it feels like a quite unconfident performance from Cleese.
Yeah.
Like it's not quite as in. The cadence is very different from his usual
Yeah,
roles. It
I
sounds
agree
quite
with
a strange thing to say, and it's a role that I think would be quite good for him, but he doesn't. Partially, I'm sure it's partially the script. It's probably partially the direction, but he doesn't quite lean into it as much. He plays a man who trained in psychiatry, but so go into advertising, and he hates the idea that he would ever be treated as a psychiatrist. He doesn't want to do any psychiatristing. He hates that Alex keeps using him for this. And I feel like in better circumstances, Cleese could actually do something quite good with that role.
You know, the interesting thing is that that's a plot point that's revisited in The Room.
The Room?
Yep.
Not the Tommy Wiseau, The Room. The
Yep.
Room.
The Womb. The Room.
The
yeah.
Womb.
Because it's a
I'm
psychologist.
Jonathan
in that.
Wass now.
And
but-
when Tommy asks him for help, he says, "I don't want to be treated like a psychologist right now." But then when he does try and help, Tommy says, "Don't be a psychologist." And that's
Huh.
exactly what happens in this film, because Bolt tries to get him to be a psychiatrist. He says no, and then when he is a psychiatrist, Bolt says, "Don't try and act all psychiatrist on me."
Wow.
So-
what cinematic parallels.
I know. I just find it interesting.
But yeah, there's a couple of scenes that verge on being quite funny where Cleese realizes
There
that
are.
he started to psychiatrize. But again, he doesn't quite nail it. I think it's quite a laid back performance for Cleese. It's
I
quite
wrote down which
subdued.
scenes I found funny, I think.
Oh, yeah?
So the one... I did find the photo booth sequence a bit funny.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the sort of ones where he's caught in awkward situations, I found that one the funniest, by far.
Fair.
And I also found the scene where they're walking through Cleese's like sets, and they're going
Yeah.
in different rooms, and Cleese goes through all the doors, but then Bolt just walks round all the walls carrying his chair. I found that quite funny because obviously it was like the psychiatrist chair that he was bringing in.
Yeah.
It was quite a good visual gag. And then
Yeah.
there's a funny bit at the end where Cleese slams the door on him, and then Bolt just walks around. So, you know, as much as we're probably going to shit in this film, it does have funny moments.
Yeah, there's like the thing it reminds me of the most, and this is very, very natural, I think, is Carry On Loving of the films we've done.
Yeah.
And that they're both bawdy British comedies. But I think Carry On Loving, even though that wasn't a very good film either, I'd say just compared to Carry On films in general, they tend to have a bit more of a sense of fun and momentum,
Yeah.
which this film really doesn't. It doesn't. The fact that the plot never really develops, it sort of looks at being a farce a bit, but doesn't quite commit. Once
Yeah.
the sort of entire US CIA sort of gets involved, you'd maybe think there'd be like a lot of comic escalation or whatever, but this doesn't really happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what it's lacking. It doesn't go far enough.
Yeah. Well, there's only
It
really
doesn't go far
one.
enough anyway. Really, it's not
Yeah.
funny enough. It's not. Obviously, it's not trying to be serious. But it's not serious enough. It doesn't really try anything or do anything particularly.
Exactly. Like it's just we never really get beyond the basic structure of Niven wants to see a man's penis, but he's too embarrassed to ask outright. So
Yeah.
awkwardness.
Yeah.
One of the weird things about this film, and like a lot, is that it features quite a lot of nudity for something which revolves around sort of like Broadway level misunderstandings, if you know what I mean.
It does have a
Like-
lot of nudity in it. It's pretty.
Given that the whole film revolves around Niven not being able to say the word penis, it's a bit weird how unchaste it is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Which certainly, contributes to the issue that the New York Times identified with the target audience being a bit weird.
Yeah. I found a quote.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent Canby of the New York Times. The statue may have the distinction of being the first adolescent comedy about penis envy. Paradoxically, it is rated R, which will keep out most of the 12-year-olds who might be expected to find it good for a smirk.
Yeah.
Which I think is very accurate.
Something quite interesting I found in that New York Times article was that they talk about how it would offend members of the Gay Activist Alliance and Women's Lib, as though like that would be a horrible thing to do, which obviously it would be. But I was just surprised that in 1970, particularly that the New York Times would be so openly supporting gay people, as well as feminism, although obviously that was maybe a bit further along. Because this is still, I think 1980 was when homosexuality was legalized. In New York, at least?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
Okay, I think. I looked it up.
Right.
But I just thought that was an interesting stance for the paper to take, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's always interesting to see how attitudes to these things were before they were, like, universally accepted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Like, during the sort of, like, developing... As homosexuality was, like, on its way to becoming... socially acceptable, but not quite there yet. You know, obviously in society in general, it's just interesting to see, you know, what stances people were taking in particular. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, thank you for that, Jamie.
Yes, I thought that was, you know, if anyone wants to give me a Pulitzer Prize for that, then I'll accept it.
Or a Nobel Peace Prize.
Or a Nobel Peace Prize. They hand those out to anybody, you know,
including Alex Bolt. Who looks like
Including
Walt
Alex
Disney,
Bolt.
by the way.
He does look a bit like Walt Disney,
Which is
but
a bit weird.
that's just David Niven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I like David Niven, and I don't think he deserves to be in films like this.
I don't know if I've seen him. Oh, he was
He's
in
in-
Casino Royale, the original one. Maybe I
Yeah,
have seen
he was
him and
in
stuff.
Matter of Life and Death. It's like a super famous one.
He was in Around the World in 80 Days as well, which I think I have seen a long time
Yeah.
ago. Maybe I've seen him, I
and-
don't know. He was
yeah.
in the Pink Panther films as well, apparently.
Yeah, he's the Phantom, the guy.
Right.
The weird thing is that he's not really in any of the good Pink Panther films, sadly.
Okay.
But, you know. Ain't
Cool.
that a shame. Yep. So,
So,
what else is there to talk about with this particular film?
Let me
This
have
is
a
one
look
of
at
only
this.
4 films Roger Ebert ever walked out on.
yeah, I saw that. So
yeah.
he did not enjoy this film.
No, but in fact, he doesn't seem to have stayed very long for it. He just sort of got to the reveal of the knob joke and then decided there was no point to it, and then
Yeah.
left, which makes sense.
So Bolt's driver is from the Paraguayan jungle,
Yeah,
and apparently when he first arrived he could hardly grunt, which feels
Yes.
to me like a little bit
Quite
of a
racist.
thing to say.
yes, I'm
Well,
going to
not
go
to
ahead
say,
and say
but,
full racist.
Yeah, very racist presentation. Also, the is that what the Paraguayan consulate actually looks like a jungle temple in the middle of London? Presumably not.
I didn't actually notice that, but I completely believe it.
Like because he blames his driver. So yeah, right. Bolt's driver is a Paraguayan.
Let's go for that and then apologise if anyone catches us.
He's from his driver's from Paraguay, and when he arrived, he could hardly grunt, and
Yes.
he's been taught Unispeak.
So
But
now he's civilised.
he is one of the people that Bolt accuses of sleeping with his wife. They
Yes.
get into an altercation. His wife hits the what's the guy called? Is it
I don't remember the driver's name.
I can't remember. It begins with a J. Anyway, she hits him over the head with a lamp, and then he runs away. He goes home to the Paraguayan consulate, but the Paraguayan consulate is presented as this like jungle sort of temple building with big open windows and stuff in the middle of London, which I don't look. I've looked it up and I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's
also,
not a
surely
very.
it should be an embassy if it's in London rather than a consulate.
No clue. But yeah, it's not a very progressive film. I suppose something quite interesting about it is that it does present when it interacts with youth culture in the various scenes of misunderstandings. I think it does present it as something that's sort of like scary and weird, if you know what I mean. I don't think it was a film for the cool kids. It was a film for
Boomers of the time.
Time, yes.
Not boomers, because
those were the cool kids at that
those
time.
were the cool kids, but the boomers
Well,
of the time.
Yeah, it's Silent Generation, Grace Generation, one of those two.
One of those two. Yeah, it is. Definitely. So that's a bit racist. The film's pretty sexist as well.
Yes.
It's
very of that, like...
I don't know if it's horrendously sexist, but it's definitely...
No, it's like, you know that humor where, like, every fucking stupid, I'm not going to say it, but older joke is about how, like, your wife is, like, sleeping with other men, and, like, you don't realise, you know what I mean? It's very that kind of humor, which I never really liked myself, and I don't think it does reflect on women very well.
No.
But yeah, Charlie's wife has a weird attitude throughout the film. I think the film sort of dusts it under the carpet. It says, like, she's an artist, so she's passionate, but, like, the entire thing could have been resolved immediately if she just ever explained it to him at all. So
yeah, but I think the point is that she's so offended that he would even imply it.
Yes, exactly.
But
well, Charlie's at fault.
But at the same time, she basically says that she drags it. I guess, yeah, she's offended that he says it, so then she acts like it. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I kind of get the reasoning, but also it's pretty weird at the same time.
Yeah. Alex. Also, a slightly strange character turn is that Alex realizes he's in the wrong halfway through the film, but then he gets erectile dysfunction, so he's back on the trail.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I realize you need something to, like, break it up a bit with the constant misunderstandings and all that, but it's a weird interlude because it just, you know, sort of goes around in a circle.
Yeah.
One joke that stood out to me as not making sense, at least to me, is at the end, the CIA break into Alex and his wife's house to steal the penis at one point, and they're told to dump it, and they leave it on the side of the road in a package, and then two smoking school kids find it, and then they, apparently without ever opening it, give it to their teacher as a birthday present.
Yeah.
As one does. And then she opens it, and then she's like, wow, how thoughtful. And then that's it.
I found that quite funny.
Did you?
Just because of how bizarre it was.
It's very straight. It's just, there's a lack of logical connection between finding a mysterious package on the side of the road and giving it to your teacher that, for me, scuppered it. But I can see why to someone else would make it much funnier.
Yeah, I think it could have been done better, but I did think it was a bit funny.
Yeah.
There were moments in this film that were funny.
Fair enough.
Just the package as a whole didn't do much for me.
I think for comedy films you really need a strong central joke, and this film's is just so weak that it doesn't work. It's really the only thing to say.
Yeah. Let's see what else I had written down here. Oh, there's a few nice match cuts in the film.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's I'm trying to think exactly what, like, there's a match cut where it's an ass to another ass, and they're not particularly intelligent match cuts, but they're quite nice visually.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of the other ones. There was a few ones where I thought, well, they've tried something there. So there's some thought behind parts of it and some artistry behind parts of it, for sure, but not loads.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I've got written here. I can't even read what that says. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I don't really have much else to say about the film. Right. It depressed me. Really?
Yeah. Oh, I know. A bizarre bit is when when he gets on the boat with all the guys.
Yeah.
That's probably the most bizarre of his
schemes, is where they'll play a fun game where they have to, like, try and remember the order they put their spouse's clothes on in the morning, and he reveals it as, like, you know, you don't really know your wife as well as you think, really? And it's like, yeah, think of this, you know, thought experiment. And then they're like, well, how are we going to verify if it's true?
Yeah.
And he says, well, we're just going to have to do it in practice in front of each other.
And then they all say, okay.
Yeah. So they were just really keen on the game, clearly.
Yeah. And the monk sequence was also bizarre.
Yeah, that's...
as well.
It's a real waste of a location, really, because that bit could have been done anywhere, if you know what I mean. Like, if they'd just been like, he likes... The painter likes to isolate himself on, a cabin in the woods or something, then it would have worked just as well.
But then they wouldn't have had the bit where the young monks want to see the boobs and then they...
Yes. Like I say, this film has boobs in it.
It does have boobs in it.
One of Bolt's schemes is there's one sex-mad painter, because we all know what painters are like, don't we?
Yeah.
This
I know what
fucking
these artists are like.
We know them. They're out there. They're sleeping with our fucking wives. These artists.
They're sleeping with
go into your house.
Wife.
Your wife specifically, wife. Dave.
Charlie.
But yeah, this stereotype. The bit's not particularly funny, but the monks get all ooh, it's a titty.
They do.
Then the other monks cover their eyes and take off their glasses.
The titties are hanging from a helicopter. We should say.
Yes.
A U.S. military helicopter is
yes
carrying a couple of women with their breasts out to pick the painter up. It's bizarre, very bizarre.
Yeah, and yet very unimaginative at the same time.
There was one cool bit where they intercut a conversation. It was I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
they're saying what he said basically.
Yeah,
and
I did quite
there's
like
that. 3 different people saying what he said. I like when films do that.
Yeah, they're all
a nice little thing. They're all
recounting the same anecdote, as it were.
Yes, like the ambassador's friend says, and then he said that, and then it cuts to Bolt, and he says, "I wanted to do," and then it cuts to someone else. I like that. That was a nice little.
That was fun.
Nice little fun bit in the film. Which brings me back to how it's just bizarre that there's these like nice little. I guess every film's gonna have some good bits generally.
Yeah.
Unless it's really, really awful. So I guess it does make sense. But it's just weird that they couldn't have done better.
Mm.
Although I think your analysis is right that the source... This is based on a play, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, I wonder if the play's any good. I'm
gonna say no.
Probably not. But I mean, I can't see this working better as a play.
Yeah, I wasn't going. The script's good. It's a shame it's being wasted on this.
Yeah.
It's just
It's almost the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even find this play. Is it based on a play called Chip 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 by Alec Coppell? Let's see if I can find it anywhere. I've looked up Chip 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 and Chip 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 play. It's not come up. Let's see if I can look it up with his name. Wow, it's really not available. Particularly, the guy himself has a Wikipedia page, right? Australian-born screenwriter, novelist, and playwright. He spent the majority of his career in London, Hollywood, specialising in light thrillers, mysteries, and sex comedies. I'll let you go. Holy fuck!
What?
Guess which film he wrote? This is insane.
Is it like something ridiculously good, or something we've already done?
Like one of the best films
ever made.
One that it comes up on many lists of the best films ever made.
Okay, so it'd have to be British, presumably.
No.
No. Okay.
Did
he write The Godfather or something? I don't know.
It's from 1958.
58.
British director, American film.
A Hitchcock thing?
Yeah, Vertigo.
Oh shit! What?
So the writer of the play that this is based on wrote Vertigo.
Christ.
So.
I've never seen Vertigo, but that still surprises.
Right, I can't find anything about Chip 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 this play, so I don't know how closely this is based on it, but I literally can't find anything about this. So there you go. The guy that wrote Vertigo wrote the play that this is based on. I assume he didn't write this film. I can't even see who wrote it. Oh no, I can. Oh, he did.
Oh.
Partially alongside someone else.
No excuses then.
So
sorry.
There's a link that I was not expecting at all.
Mm.
Can you believe that?
I'm surprised.
I know you.
Yes.
I know you just said you've not seen Vertigo, so.
No, I am still nonetheless surprised. I mean, I guess people do shitty work sometimes. We're allowed a bad day.
But this feels like if he wrote a play, right, and then also wrote. He must have thought this was good. You wouldn't write the play and then say, okay, that play was rubbish, but I'm still going to do... I guess if there was a lot of money, you might...
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, I'm sure he liked it. But
I guess so.
I mean, people don't praise Vertigo for its sense of humour.
No, but they
So maybe he's just not. Yeah. But maybe he's just not a particularly funny man who thinks he is, and that's the issue.
Oh, Vertigo was based on a novel as well, so maybe he's better at converting,
adapting other people's stuff. Well, that makes sense.
I don't know. Or maybe the statue is a poor adaptation of Chip Chip Chip.
Yeah, perhaps Chip Chip Chip, if we ever saw it, would change our lives.
Perhaps.
And
Probably
we would never feel the same again.
Probably not. But maybe.
Yeah. You can simply never know.
What else? Did I have anything else written down? I thought I had, but I might not. No, I don't think so. No. Yep.
Cool. Shall we move on to ratings then? I think it's going to be quite obvious, but we'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you saying?
I would rate this a high but pretty solid don't watch.
Right. I'm between don't watch and watch if it's on, because I don't think it's awful. I think I'm going to say
it's not aggressively terrible.
I'm going to say watch if it's on, because I think it has a few good moments. It's kind of entertaining enough. If you're, it's a low watch if you're on. It's a watch if it's on and you're ill. You're stuck in the sofa. You're ill. TV remote's at the other side of the room. This film is free on Prime.
Yes.
So there
a lot of other films are too. To be fair.
A lot of other films are too, but in terms of the films we've watched, this is one of the few that has been not cost us anything and wouldn't cost you anything. So there is
if you already have Prime.
If you're really struggling, or if you've got no money, but you want to enjoy the Golden Talkies experience of watching the film after listening to us, then this is your chance.
No.
I guess.
But what a great order to do things in.
But I'm still rating it watch if it's on. Low watch if it's on.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. Cool. So I'm quite busy, so we'll maybe wrap up here. Next week's film will be Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. So I hope everyone's looking forward to that, starring Michael Caine.
We'll be doing the accent plenty. You've not got anything else you want to bring up? I don't think.
The only thing I want to bring up in my personal life is that I'm writing an essay today, and so I'm signing off, babe.
Wow, Jimmy, this is terrible. The people want to hear what you've been up to.
They do want to hear what I've been up to. Nice. Nothing that interesting. I watched The Spy Who Came In From the Cold last night. It was fine.
Oh, what did I watch? I watched a film called Good Time.
That's the other Safdie Bros one, right?
I don't know. Maybe it was really good though. It was from a couple of years ago. It's very good. What else did I watch? I watched 22 July, which is also a good film. It's about the Norwegian terrorist attack in 2011 at the youth camp. Both of those films are good. I've not really been playing any games, so I'll let Jamie get back to his essay. But I would recommend both those films.
It's very important.
Over the statue. Although this does have a nice theme song that we didn't go into much. But yeah, there you go. And that's going to play us out. The nice thing is going to be that you're going to sing that, and then it's going to cut to our actual outro, which is why I'm speaking now to break it up. Okay, bye everyone.